Hello, my friends, and welcome back. If you are still watching, I have actually played a little bit since the first video, and I got the science that we destroyed from the Science Junior and went ahead and locked the general rocketry and the stability branches on the tech tree. This gives us radial decouplers, advanced winglets to help with flight stability, uh, larger fuel tanks, better liquid fuel engines, and a much larger solid fuel booster. So next off, let's see, in order to survive a long distance flight to the moon, you absolutely want some batteries. Otherwise, you're going to run out of electric charge and you will not be able to run all of your experiments. So what we definitely want these, is going to cost 45 science, and we should be able to get that if we get up into orbit and can do all the extra science experiments that we need to. We will also be able to unlock the thermometer and the orbital telescope, which will also get us additional science. This is the comms. It's basically a radio antenna. It works well, but without having the I cannot remember the name of the mod, but there's a mod that basically makes it to where antenna have to be. I think it's called line of sight, where if the side of the planet that you are transmitting from is looking away from your spacecraft, you can no longer control your spacecraft because it cannot receive radio signals. And it's pretty cool because it makes you have to set up a orbital satellite kind of communications network, kind of like we have in real life, so that you can actually control your automated spacecraft. So maybe we'll look into seeing if they've got an updated version of that mod, so we can have that aspect of the game in here. Otherwise, that's just for transmitting information back from your scientific experiments at a much lower income. But we also want this flight control because your inline reaction wheels will help you turn in space a lot faster, with even though you do not have like atmosphere or anything for your wings to affect it. Plus, again, we want those batteries because these do take up a small electric charge. This one's a 15 electric charge as you are utilizing it. Oops. And then we also have the aviation to where we can unlock airplane parts basically and be able to fly around Kerbin and gather uh, science from the planet itself. And then general construction. Here are those containers that will store parts for your Kerbals. These are fantastic. The strut connectors are basically, if you have a wobbly spacecraft and it's basically shaking itself apart, you can attach these to stabilize the entire thing. And thankfully, because these have a mass of 0.05, you can store a ton of these inside of your containers and bring them up to your spacecraft in orbit. And if you have problems with docking a spaceship or something, or it's making everything wobble and shake, you can send a Kerbal out with your struts to basically connect everything together and make it so that it doesn't fly apart. Uh, Again, you have to have the attachment parts mods and all that installed for that to actually work though. Otherwise, these have to be connected inside the vehicle assembly building. And then we have advanced rocketry, which is just larger fuel tanks, more engines, and just all sorts of fuel. So we'll go ahead and construct a new vessel. You'll see some of the new parts that I unlocked. I'll be utilizing them in this build. Always start with a command pod. Let's see, we have, again, the larger fuel tank, but we'll go ahead and put the science experiments on there first. So another science junior. I'm only adding one this time because on my last flight, I went ahead and went up a little bit further and gained the science from that. So we only really need one right now. And again, the mystery goo container, I only need one for right now because unsure as to how high in altitude I'm going to get this flight. Uh, Along with that too, you can notice the size of the mystery goo container. Uh, if you attach it radially to your spacecraft like this, it does actually cause some atmospheric drag to where my spacecraft will pull down in that particular direction. But there is something we can do about that, and we've unlocked the service bay. And this is a nifty little thing that you can attach to your spacecraft that basically prevents all that atmospheric drag from affecting you. And if we right click, you can see it says open. And now we have a special little bay that we can store our experimental stuff inside, and we do not have to worry about drag. So now we've got our mystery goo container in there. Let's see, is there anything else we can put? Not right now. So we'll go ahead and close that up. And it's nice to have that in there, but you also have to say if you're at a specific altitude and you want to have it open so you can do your science experiment, you basically have to watch it and anticipate. And when you open up the doors, you also have to worry about the doors creating drag. So you got to be careful with that. But you can also set everything to a hotkey too with the action groups. So I could basically set it to the number 1 key and have everything go at the same time. That way I don't have to worry about all that. All right, so let us add survivability items, so parachutes and all that. Oh, there we go, parachute. I unlocked the radio mount parachutes, and these are fantastic for making sure that we do not slam into the ground. I will double that up. So now we have 3, and that will absolutely help us slow down. I believe I'm going to add those aerodynamic, well, we'll add the basic fins. That way I can tilt the spacecraft and try and fly it in and see if we can get closer to the Space Center after our flight. We also have the heat shield unlocked. I'm not sure if we're going to get that high or not, but we'll add it anyways just for the hell of it, because we can always reuse this spacecraft after we unlock stronger boosters, and that way we don't have to rebuild it every single time. We will add a decoupler, and I'm going to use those larger fuel tanks that we unlocked. And it's really nice to have these, because if you take a bunch of these smaller ones and attach more and more of them on top of each other, this actually makes it to where this would wobble like a snake. Because of all these separate attachment points, it is not very sturdy. That's why as soon as you unlock the larger ones, if you need more fuel, you want to use one of the larger tanks. Otherwise, you can have a lot of bending and flexing. So we're definitely using these. I'll add 2 this time. And we have, this was the original engine. Well, no, wait. Yeah, this was the original engine that we unlocked at first, the liquid fueled engine. These can be throttled up and down. We also just recently unlocked this one, and the swivel engine is great because it will actually, there's a gimbal on it that allows it to tilt from side to side, which helps you keep your orientation in flight, which is really great. It only gimbals so far though. Let's see, what is it? Its vectoring range is only 3 degrees, which isn't great, but it's better than nothing, because this one doesn't even have it. All right, we were using this for our initial science, and that had a thrust of 210, but we're going to use its big brother here that has a thrust of 275. It also has a great increase in solid fuel. We will attach one of those, so let's get another stack decoupler, put that baby on there, and then add the Thumper engine. Now we are starting to make our craft pretty damn tall, and unfortunately we do not have the support towers to keep it balanced on the launch area. but there are ways that we can fix that. We could always take some girder segments and just attach them to the bottom, just bend them down and use those as like support legs. The problem is you have to worry about aerodynamic drag whenever these are on there. So we're not going to do that for right now, but I can use the winglets and kind of get them a little bit underneath the nozzle. And since these go out much further, that should help us out a lot. Plus, having these at the end will pull that part of the spacecraft down and keep everything pointed in the direction we want it to. Since this has a much greater thrust potential, I'm going to turn the thrust limiter down to 50 and we'll see what we get with that. So everything looks good. Make sure that we've got all of our action groups right. Here's the solid booster, and then we want to break that away and activate our next one. So I'll drag that into there so we do it all at once. And then after all that fuel's expended, break away everything else, and we got the parachutes. So everything looks good. Let's go ahead and launch. We'll see if it tips over or not. Hopefully not. All right, everything's loaded. Looks like we're ready to go. Turn on the Stability Assist System, or SAS, and light this puppy up. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't have turned it down to 50. That does not have much thrust at all. It'll burn for longer though. That'll be okay. I'd always go back in the vehicle assembly building and add a couple more of the smaller solid boosters to the outside. And we're tilting, we're tilting. Unfortunately, that's probably due to the fact that we do not have enough thrust going along these fins down here to keep us straight. Maybe I can save it. If we can burn out all the solid fuel and cut off this stage before we get screwed, and I don't think that's going to happen, but let's see what we can do. Trying to use the wings on the front to maybe keep us from dying. Alright. Nope, nope. That did not turn out very well. There's too much weight in the front, unfortunately, keeping us from being stable, but I saved it, so let's see what we can get with altitude. Already far better than the first video. There's a great deal of thrust coming out of these liquid fuel boosters. And I did reach the higher altitudes, the blue zone, or the darker blue zone, well, we were gone, so I'm not going to pop our science yet, but I am going to get them ready. Let's see, we should just barely reach. Yeah, there we go. We just barely reached the black. Let's see if we get new science. Yes, we did. We got that, and we got that. So we will save both of those. 9 and 22.5. Quickly do a crew report. And there we go. Now let's see if we can fly this puppy since we got wings on it. Hopefully we'll be able to adjust ourselves. I can't tell quite yet. We are starting to fall though. Needle's no longer going up. And we're picking up quite a bit of speed. Come on, wings, do your thing. No, don't pitch down. I don't think I'm going to save it. I think I made a missile. Probably should have put the wings a little bit closer to the front so we had a little bit more weight in the back to keep us from nosediving. We are getting further away from the Space Center, though. You can see how we're going further into the dark green area than we are this lighter area. I don't know, what is that called on a golf course? Uh, the nice trimmed area that the golf balls go along. And then the rough, I guess, over here. We're falling pretty fast, but we're going to be hitting some of the thicker atmosphere, so that's starting to slow us down just a little bit. Come on, can we pull up? Maybe I can wiggle it. Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright, I'm going to hit the chutes. And thankfully they didn't rip off because we weren't going too fast. You always want to go for the butter zone of at least 90 meters a second, because anything higher than that, and usually the parachutes rip right off your ship. So we're going pretty good. I would time accelerate, but we are still going pretty fast, and I do not want our ship to just totally dive bomb into the ground. Although I am impatient, so to heck with it. Getting down there. Getting down there. Slow it down a little bit. Parachutes are fully deployed. We are slowed down to a very safe speed, so I will time accelerate again until it looks like we're almost on the ground. I tend to use the shadow to judge how close we are, and that's a good thing to do. But if you have a lower spec computer and you can't have the graphics maxed out, a lot of times you cannot see the shadow, so you need to keep that in mind. And we are almost touchdown. Come on. And tilt the ship. There we go. Touchdown. Now what I want to try and do is get it to where I can get my Kerbal in and out, because now that we've landed in a different biome, I can get a little bit more science from his EVA. So get him out and on the ground and take a surface sample. And yep, it looks like dirt. And then an EVA report. I don't think a spacesuit was necessary to get here, was it? Now let's see if I can jump him back in so we can recover the ship and the Kerbal at the same time. Yes, we can. And board. Haha, successful mission. Recover vessel. Awesome, and we got 52 science. So let's see what we can get. Like I said, I wanted to get that rechargeable battery pack, but we still have quite a bit of science we can get before the moon. So in order to make it easier, I may, here, let's see. I may want that inline reaction wheel, just because it was hard to keep us pointing straight. We can also use these air winglets because they are control surfaces that actually tilt so that you can also fly and stay straight up in the air. We could always make an aircraft too to fly around Kerbin if we wanted to, but I more like building spaceships, so we'll get this one. And I think I'm going to call it there. But again, if you enjoyed, let me know. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll try and answer them in the next episode. So I'll talk to you later, guys. Have a great one.